welcome back to another episode of Ask and Ye Shall Receive Answers. This is where I take some of your questions on the Ask G-Man video question forum thread in the general forums, or on Twitter, G-Man from Heck, Ask G-Man. So I'll take some of your questions. This week I have 3 questions from one person, so we're going to kind of touch on these. Sokaden first asks, with the announcement of Superman, Wonder Woman, and the Batman Superman series coming out, do you think DC should make more books that focus on 2 or more characters, like a Flash Green Lantern book or Green Arrow Green Lantern book? If so, which 2 or more characters would you like to see be an ongoing series together? Obviously, Superman and Batman, it makes a perfect pairing. I mean, they're such different characters, but they're such good friends. So we have this great dynamic. That's something that you need to have in these sort of series. You don't want just 2 characters that are similar, because then it's just like the same thing twice. So having Superman, an alien with all these incredible powers, and Batman, who's just a normal dude, well, not normal because he's trained himself to like the ends of the earth. So you get this great dynamic, and it really opens up the 2 of them, because with Superman being around Batman, it kind of shows. It lets us see the human side of him. And with Batman being around Superman, it allows him to kind of open up, since, Batman's always all clenched up and, never says anything. So he's not going to be pouring out his heart to Superman, but it's great to see him. At least that's how it's been in the past. So far, we haven't had that. Greg Pak's series has been phenomenal. I mean, it's been great seeing these early days, which is kind of interesting with the whole twist and Earth 2 stuff, so it's like you're definitely hooked. As far as other characters, I believe Sokanen mentioned Hal Jordan and Barry Allen. So the Flash Annual, it was really great stuff, and I even said when I reviewed that, I would love to see an ongoing series with these 2 characters. And this again goes back to what I said. These are 2 completely different characters. You have Hal Jordan, a guy that can go out in space. He can make virtually any weapon that he wants out of his ring. And then you have Barry Allen. He's a really smart guy. Obviously got the Speed Force. He can go around. He can travel in time if he wants. He probably shouldn't. That's a whole other tricky area. So you kind of got these 2 different characters. Hal Jordan's a little more brash, more, reckless. Barry Allen, he's a little more conservative. He's on the police force, and he's dating Patty Spivot for some reason. He should be with Iris. So you got this great dynamic where these 2 are not the same characters, so they can really bounce off each other. And part of it was the writing. So Brian Buccellato, we mentioned this on podcasts and that, he did a great job with the dialogue, and that was a key. You can take 2 of the greatest characters together, but if they don't feel like they like each other, or if they don't have that chemistry, it's not going to be a good series. So the way Buccellato wrote the 2, I mean, they were bickering. The dialogue, even though it was a comic book, it kind of felt real. I mean, they're like calling each other out. They're like kind of ragging on each other. That's the thing that friends kind of do. Some friends kind of do that. So it was really fascinating to see these 2 work together. I would absolutely love to see these 2 characters in an ongoing series. I don't know how the series would work. Hal Jordan's busy on Oa with the Green Lantern Corps. Barry Allen's busy, doing his stuff. But I would love to see adventures with these 2, just to see how they work together. We kind of get them in the Justice League of America, Justice League comics. Not so much lately, since Hal Jordan had to quit the team. But we have seen many stories in the past where these characters can work together. So I would love to see more of that. As for other characters, I am interested, I do want to say, I am interested in the Superman Wonder Woman series coming up by Charles Soule and Tony Daniel. That's going to be another interesting one, because we got that relationship there. They care for each other. Like most people, I don't know how long this relationship's going to last. I'm not for this relationship lasting for a long period. I just think that these 2 characters, where they're at in New 52, it's an interesting position where they're at, because they're so powerful, and they've kind of become isolated from the rest of the world. They can't really relate to others because no one's really on their level. So that's what kind of drew them together, is that they kind of understand what the other is going through. So it just kind of happened. Like I said, I don't see this lasting forever. Like most people, I would like to see Superman back with Lois Lane. We're starting out New 52. We're only a couple years in. there's plenty of time for them to get together, work things out. Hopefully somewhere down the road that will happen. It will be interesting if Lois Lane appears in the Superman Wonder Woman series at all. As far as something else, I would be interested in, there is a rumored Robin series, like about a year ago or so. I think it would be great to see these characters work together. And if not all of them, maybe just like Dick Grayson and Tim Drake. I'm really curious of how these two would work, because we've had some stories over the years, and obviously we saw Dick Grayson and Damian Wayne work together. I would like to see Dick and Tim, because Tim, he's still kind of a mystery in the New 52. Part of the problem is because some changes have been made to his character, also with the fact that he's been in the Teen Titans book, he really hasn't had a chance to kind of stand on his own. So while we've seen some of the stories in Teen Titans and we've seen some of the differences, it's still not really clear who exactly he is. And there's supposed to be all of the history from before, from the pre-New 52, that's supposed to carry over. But obviously some things are different. I would like to see these two work together, but perhaps having a Robin's book where it doesn't have to be all of them, because why would they all be together all the time? That doesn't make sense. But if we could get like different stories where maybe it's Dick and Tim, Dick and Jason, or Tim and Jason, or if Damian ever comes back, he can come in there. But it would be great to see these characters. Of course, if we could have Stephanie Brown show up in there, that'd be great. But who knows what her situation is? So I would love to see just something with the Robins, because if you look in the past, Nightwing series and the current series, the previous series, it was a great series. Robin series, that was great. Red Robin, it's a great series. So these characters, they may have been sidekicks, they can clearly stand on their own. So, or I would love to see a Tim Drake solo. I want more Tim Drake. Continuing with this one more, and this is total wish fulfillment. It's never going to happen, not now. I would love to see Cassandra Cain and Stephanie Brown. I mentioned Stephanie. These are two characters that are MIA in the New 52. If you ever read those issues where you saw them together, they kind of they had a nice bond there, and it would be great to see these two, because again they're different characters. They're not similar. Cassie's a little edgier. She's going to take things a little bit further if she has to. She is kind of controlled. It would be great to see these two. Just have these two young ladies work together, build up that bond, that friendship, and kicking a lot of butt at the same time. What about Marvel? I mean, I'm assuming this is mainly dealing with DC characters, but if we're talking about Marvel, I'd love to see Luke Cage and Iron Fist together again. Or maybe, I would love to see Marjorie Liu write like Gambit and X-23 again, because it was a great series when Marjorie was on. Next question. I recall in an earlier Ask and You Shall Receive Answers video, you said you read Death Note. How far are you into the series? I want to ask you a question about a certain part of the story to get your thoughts on it, but don't want to ask you if you haven't read it yet because I don't want to spoil it for you. I love Death Note. I know there's some people that kind of look down upon manga and anime. I don't know why. I mean, it's just a different thing. There are some strange, some interesting titles out there. Same thing can be said for comics. So, there is something for everyone. As far as Death Note, I enjoyed it. But here's that weird thing. I've mentioned this before. I have not finished reading it. I have all the books. I was reading it. I was devouring it. But it got to the point where I knew there was that one book left, and it was kind of like, if I read it, there's no more stories. So I have that last one that I've been kind of saving. Maybe I should just say, shut up and suck it up and just read it. But yeah, I believe I got through book 12. I just have to read that book 13. I've done this with like when Futurama was first canceled. There was like some episodes I hadn't seen. I didn't want to watch them because that way I still had new episodes to watch. So I got this really strange, stupid way I look at certain things. Last question. Have you played Injustice Gods Among Us yet? And how do you feel about Scorpion being in the game? I have not played very much of it at all. And the main thing is because I'm doing comic book stuff most of the time. The last time I played video games was playing Deadpool, just so I could write a review for it. I would love to play more video games. Before Comic Vine, that's all I did. I had PlayStation, an Xbox. I had Nintendo 64, PlayStation 1. I had all the systems. I started way back. I'm dating myself. I started off with Atari 2600 and Nintendo and ColecoVision. So So, I love the idea of Injustice. I was going to get it, but I knew I was going to have the time to devote to it. So I'll pick it up when the price drops. I have played it, at different conventions, before it came out, when doing the interviews with the developers. So, it's interesting. As far as Scorpion, I'm okay with that. I know some people really didn't like it because they felt it should have just been strictly DC characters. But on the other hand, I don't have a problem with it. I know if you did the subscription pack, that was one of the characters. Shouldn't have been there. It wasn't interesting. It was a nice little thing because, I would think most people playing the game, you're probably Mortal Kombat fans. I think the idea of, we saw them fight each other in DC versus Mortal Kombat versus DC. I believe that's the way it is. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Jim Lee did some tweaks on the design of the character. It's fine with me. Yeah, obviously I would prefer to have one more DC character versus a Mortal Kombat character, but it was a nice little nod to the series, the game developers. Why not? So that is it for this week. If you have any questions, ask on the Ask G-Man video thread in the general forum. Ask me on Twitter, GManFromHeck. Use the hashtag AskGman. So I will do these videos every 2 weeks. So I'll answer your questions. The other weeks I'll do the spoilers video. We'll also do some of your questions on the Invincibly Supermassive comic book podcast of stuff. So make sure you listen to that each week. We'll do this. We'll get through your questions. Keep asking, and you will get some answers.